everyone, welcome to another video, and for this month's video I thought it would be interesting to briefly touch upon my personal favorite Aretha Franklin songs. She was, I would say, more or less popular around the late 60s, early 70s. And she has a significant amount of hits, I would say, as well. Some of them probably being on this list. I guess you could count all of these songs as pretty much hits because they do have an extensive amount of views, at least even today on YouTube. As far as where she got started, from what I can tell, is that a large part of her music is based within the gospel genre. So she really started there, and a lot of that had to do with being part of the Baptist church. And I believe there has been some sources that have said that her father was a minister. So she had a definitely heavy influence, within her life that revolved around music, and in particular that style of music. And you'll see how kind of the gospel sound is sort of carried on through her work as she progressed into sort of the mainstream. But there's also a lot of jazz influence as well, some catchy instrumentals, along with backup vocalists that she utilized over the years. So overall, she's a very talented artist and has done a lot as far as a career at that time was concerned for that type of music. So without further ado, I'm just going to briefly touch upon the ones that I find to be the most memorable and engaging. The first song being Respect. Now this one was very, very popular, and I think still remains to be one of her most popular songs. The songs in particular of Aretha Franklin's are fairly self-explanatory as far as the lyrics are concerned, and this song is no exception. But throughout the song, she kind of talks about how she sort of wants respect, and it sounds like in particular from a man, and she wants that sort of as a exchange for all that she provides and gives to the relationship, so to speak. So, you know, sort of treat me as your kind of equal is sort of the way I approach the song as far as its lyrical interpretation. You know, just give me respect. That's all I'm asking for. And the kind of tone that it gives off throughout is sort of this kind of sassy, but yet still not really like intimidating sort of vibe. You know, like she's standing up for herself, it seems like, in the way she presents the vocals, but at the same time, because she does have such a powerful voice, but she's not doing it in a like kind of condescending way. She's sort of kind of trying to be inviting at the same time to the person that she's sort of kind of talking to. You know, like, I mean, all I'm asking is for a little bit of respect, you know? It's just like, I'm not asking for much, you know? It's just like, it's okay, you know, just, if you could do that for me, I'd really appreciate it, you know? And it has more of that kind of tone to it, I think. It's not really trying to be, I think, overly preachy. It's just kind of trying to convey the message of, you know, if you want this relationship to work, you know, just let me at least be on a level that is the same as yours, and in turn you treat me with the same respect that I sort of treat you, in other words. So again, she's trying to make make that simple sort of point, and that's a lot of how Aretha Franklin songs are, in that they're not really designed to be very in depth and interpretive, which is totally fine because she adds so much volume and strength with her voice, but also has this kind of nurturing feel to it, that it comes off as a very, it just comes off as very I guess just aesthetically pleasing to listen to. So there's just a beauty to the power of what she's saying, even if what she's saying is kind of sort of more or less straightforward. So that's why I really enjoy this song, and not only its beauty and its simplicity, but the fact that she's able to bring so much weight to that simplicity through her vocals and through the whole way the song is arranged. It's in particular one of her most catchy songs, so I would understand why people would consider that to be one of the more memorable ones out of the bunch. The second one that I wanted to briefly mention is Chain of Fools. This was another fairly popular one that I think got a lot of attention. This has a completely different mindset than the first song. In the first song, she's sort of asking for, again, respect and sort of a kind of say within her relationship. Whereas with this particular song, Chain of Fools, she's talking about how there was this guy that's been, sort of playing her and, sort of messing around, in other words, and she sort of became part of the chain of fools. In other words, he's been with all of these other women and they've been tricked by him as well. So hence you get the whole chain of fools, and she's part of that sort of link, as she explains. So it's a very interesting analogy to put a relationship in the form of a chain, but it definitely makes sense. And this is a lot more on the soulful side, I guess. I would say, just by the way it's kind of presented, it's a little bit more subdued. It's not as I think upbeat as Respect is. So there is kind of this underlying sense of just something bad kind of going on. And there's also an understanding of reinforcing the idea, I think, of karma, because with not only the way it's presented in the lyrics, but also in the way it sounds, you kind of can tell just like how she's sort of expressing the idea with the fact that, he's played all these women, but, sort of karma's gonna catch up to you, so to speak. It's like you're not gonna be, your chain of fools is not gonna go on forever, in other words. So there's sort of that underlying emphasis within the song as well. So it makes it all the more interesting and I think relatable. So I would definitely recommend that song as well as being one of my personal favorites. The third one that I wanted to briefly mention is You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman. This one is also a lot of fun. I really like how she's kind of giving off the idea of being in her natural state, and how that person puts her in that kind of natural state of feeling like that she can really be comfortably herself. And with the way it sounds too, it kind of brings an uplifting attitude uh, to the whole concept. Like, you make me feel like somebody that I am, and in other words, make me feel the best about myself, and in doing so, being in a state of mind of natural womanhood, so to speak. And I can kind of get behind that sort of feeling that she has, just of times where you just feel like you're just part of yourself, um, and part of that, I think kind of goes in with the gender as well, like sometimes there's just this natural way of thinking that I think, in particular, a lot of women sort of uh, have, at least, that I think is distinct. And I think she expresses that kind of distinction fairly well. And again, this is not just through the lyrics, but through the way that the song is showcased. It's just like, it's like, it's kind of like, that song sort of I'm Walking on Sunshine, so to speak. It's kind of that feeling, it's just like, you make me feel like a natural woman, that kind of feel, it's very kind of liberating in a way. So, and it was definitely, I think, one of her more popular songs that has come out over the years. And I think it's definitely safe to say why that is. The second to last song that I wanted to mention is I Say a Little Prayer. Now, this one I think is probably in her top songs as well as far as popularity. Uh, but I think what's interesting is how she kind of encompasses uh, religion a little bit more directly with talking about prayer and things like that. But the interesting thing is despite the fact it being mentioning sort of a kind of religious type uh, act of praying, she does it in a way that I think a lot of people, despite what you believe in as far as religion, can still relate to. Like, just thinking about somebody else and, hoping that they kind of are doing well within life, and in doing so, hope they have the same feelings for you as you do for them, that kind of a thing. It's it's sort of like thinking about things that you hope for, in other words. So, I say a little prayer for you when this and this is going on within my life or something, or, you know, something of that nature. Again, I just think is fairly relatable overall. You can just have these kinds of thoughts come to you. And again, you can really feel that gospel tone throughout the song, especially with the background vocals, like forever and ever and da 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 da, just the way that it has these layers to it, uh, gives off a very kind of preachy feel, but it's not. Again, it doesn't feel like forced or uh, over the top. It just gives you a ray of kind of sunshine and positive energy. And I think that's something that works really well with this song in particular. So I would definitely say that is one of my personal favorites. And the last one that I wanted to briefly mention is Ain't No Way. And now this one I think is a lot more influenced with jazz, I would say. Um, and you'll notice too that some of the other songs that I mentioned as well do have that kind of influence. But this one in particular stood out to me because of the fact that it's kind of slower. It's that slow jazz, and you just have her just singing in a way that's, you know, a little bit more subdued at times, but still coming off it with the same level of, I guess, intensity. Um, but she basically talks about a person, um, presuming a potential lover that she kind of thinks that she can't really give herself to, because, you know, she doesn't feel kind of herself when she's with the person. She's sort of tied down. Um, she's kind of shut. She kind of is shut out, and um, and and with that kind of jazz feel, you can sort of hear kind of a little bit of preachiness. But again, it's kind of it's on the slower side, but uh, definitely not overdone or over exaggerated, and that's why I found this one actually pretty unique in compared to a lot of the other Aretha Franklin songs that are a lot more heavier, emphasized on the background vocals and just being like so full of energy. And with here, I feel like the energy is more uh, it's calmed down, and it's brought down to a more, I guess, serious level. And that's why I find the song in particular to be rather unique and distinct. I don't think this one in particular was probably as popular as some of these other ones that I've been mentioning, uh, only because I think the titles are more recognizable. Um, but yeah, I think though that's really ultimately all I can say about all of these songs. I found them to be all really enjoyable. I think you can get a lot out of the way in which the songs are presented, and she did have a lot of talent behind her, and she really did start at a young age, as far as her career is concerned, with learning music and um, focusing on her vocals and everything. So it's a very I think great song, or great catalog of songs that she produced over the years. I guess I would say that she is more recognizable for the later 60s as opposed to the early 70s. I've just thought that her style within that period probably just fit. I think it just fit her better, as far as from what I could tell. But I definitely enjoy her work, and it is unfortunate that she passed away. I believe it was at least probably over half a year ago. So just this past year in 2018. So it's nice to really look back on these artists uh, who contributed a lot to music and really tried to bring something to the table um, as far as artistry, and especially for a time period where music was undergoing these uh, really interesting changes. So I think that's really ultimately all I can say. I will be sure to put the links to all the songs below so that you can enjoy them for yourself. And feel free to let me know if there's any songs that I didn't mention on the list that you personally enjoy or find interesting. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a pleasant day, week, month, and year, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Take care.